This is one example, and I'm questioning how many such potential capabilities and possibilities, opportunities we have that we are not able to recognize because we are too administratively, politically, or institutionally oriented, and we are not really oriented to address the subject matter which we are responsible to address appropriately. I think such excellent opportunities are missed every day, and we should put the attention of the political and other leaders through these examples to reallocate the resources, to manage the attention to something which has of strategic value.
Yeah, thank you for this very good point of view. I think this is just, I think in the end of the day we have to do, of course, really formal way everything what we are doing in between the nations and so on. But I just want to give you one example how to do it a little bit different way. So this is coming from the need of the local authorities and the pressure for the local authorities to handle these things, because they know that we have to be able to handle these things. So they have introduced this kind of solution for this issue, and then they introduce it to the neighboring countries. And they are just authority level, they have been decided that, okay, this is such a good that we have to take it on use, and they have introduced it to the upper for the administration. This is of course completely opposite way to do it, but it's working, and we can find solutions much more faster in this way, and also implementing best practices.
A short question. I wanted you to, when I learned first about the BSMIR, that's how you shorten, BSMIR project just a couple of months ago, what I was very much inspired of, because I've had also a bit of experience in working of these kind of civil protection related projects, and how you place them, how do you inform about them, other levels of not only the practical but other levels of related to civil protection cooperation, more political or more general ones. So what I was really inspired about is how were you approaching to give the information further to various kind of institutions that you might find somehow relevant to, or that you might find that they would be needed to be informed about the project in terms of your approach, the Council of the Baltic Sea States, and our, even on the political level, the actual governing board, you issue the press releases and so on and so on. So what I was, perhaps you can just very shortly give your first impressions of where did you, how do you see it going? Where is the difficulty? Is it going very smoothly? Like your experience, where do you think that perhaps there's a sort of like hiccups in like transmitting this information, or this informing the different levels of actors that may be related, relevant to the needs of your project?
Well, thank you for this kind words, and just a couple of words for your notes. I'm big fan of this kind of holistic approach. So I think this is so complicated matter that the only way to do it properly is to take all the authorities and all the relevant organizations with it, because you need it, and this is just about what we are talking about. Quite too often we forget, for example, if we are talking about onshore accident work, which is coming from the offshore, we are forgetting, for example, healthcare people, and if we forget these people from the picture, we can't succeed. I believe so. That's why we have taken everybody. Of course, it's also challenging, but that's the only way. You asked about what is the biggest issue or a challenge or a problem. I think this is, of course, very complicated question to answer in a couple of lines. But I think Juha said it quite goodly. It's obviously it's something to do with the cultures and the structures of administration and the responsibilities, because they are divided so differently. we even don't know exactly who is the responsible authorities for some substances in some country, and they have a totally different kind of law enforcement behind them. So it can be really difficult to work with them, and if we find out this in the case of accident, it means that it can mean that the cooperation is at that state it's finished. We can't do it. We find it these kind of problems, of course. And of course, one thing is only where we can begin is terminology only. We have the terms. Everybody knows the terms from the IMO and so on. But if I ask you what is the evacuation center, and then I ask from the Helsinki expert what is the evacuation center, I believe you two have different answers. So before we can start this kind of development work, we have to have some kind of common language to agree that, okay, when we are talking about the evacuation center, we mean this. And then things like this, quite simple things, and quite common things, but I think that's a good start.
And if I can just add to that, it's not, it is the differences between countries, because then you have such different types of responders. You have people at the municipal level, at the national level, you have NGOs also. And this is very, very different cultures within these different sort of responders. So it's yet another challenge to come into. And apart from that, you have also at the very theoretical level a bit. I think this is where we move a bit into a different kind of discussion, where we move into the discussion of identity. Because if we do need to work together, as we do, in an interdependent world, and where we have a region that we want to be cohesive and that we want to be at the forefront, then it is a question of getting people to work together and coming from a similar sort of departure point and working towards a common goal. And then it comes down to these sort of identity issues. Can these people identify with one another and really work together for the benefit of the region?
Yeah. Sorry, how can I short comment? Yeah, thanks, and that was a good point. And one thing what I've also came to my mind to your earlier or previous question is that I have found out that there are, when we are starting to do the collaboration and cooperation, the development work, many such authorities are involved which are not used to do it, and in the past they didn't have to do it, so they don't have any resources. They don't have, for example, an international unit in their administration because they are completely national authorities. So they don't have resources, and this is one challenge and problem what I notice. If we want to include everyone, they don't have the capacity. They are not prepared to this kind of broad international development work because they are only working for national level in this stage. So.
And that's why we need to go to take all stakeholders you mentioned and then start defining the situation called requirements and the requirements of the stakeholders to start with. And then, of course, develop the language so that we can share meanings, same meanings, we can understand each other and practical implications. And then we go into the identifying the capabilities. And it's a beautiful world where you can see. And now, what is the good news here? That when we will define, let's say, 10 basic capabilities, that will bring structure to this mess. And it will precipitate through down, and it will also disseminate up to the top. So this is an organizing principles which we have to now clarify in capability terms. Then a question about what we have done or what we are planning to do to bring these good news. I will, for example, this week on Thursday, 15 hours, meet the head of the Finnish government security, who is responsible to implement Finnish national security strategy. He is interested about these findings we have made, and he is interested to do something to that. So I hope that we will get through some key persons, we will get this awareness that there must be a dramatic change. There is a need for dramatic change in perception, in attitude, and then about the identity. We have two basic identities which are constraining us and incapacitating us to respond to this kind of disasters. One is administrative, bureaucratic, and the other is this damn project identity. These are paralyzing us. We are handicapped because of our identity problem. Our identity is such that if it happens now, we are not able to exploit all this what we have in an efficient manner and take care of something. We are constrained. Period.
It was, but we should end on a high note, not on a pessimistic note, I think so.
No, I am optimistic because I see the opportunity. But I am serious because I see that if we are not now changing, we are just repeating this cultural, pathological history of us just to run after from one accident to the other. We are not able to prevent anything and to take in advance care of conditions and circumstances within and out of us so that we are able to appropriately, efficiently use this what we have been given to use to take care.
And then exactly we need to work across sectors to bring this sort of message and hopefully then through different organizations, international and otherwise, to bring this to those that make the decisions. Huh?
I'm not stopping because anything you say I will pick up something. Referring to the sectors, you know it from your own sectors that the habits what we have in sectors, and those habits are welded through after the war, through all these years, there are so stringent habits that how hell you are going to be able to change those habits. Sometimes you have to change the people. Sometimes you have to embarrass them. Sometimes education, awareness development makes an impact. But it's a difficult challenge to change those habits that we have in sectorial institutions and organizations. And in people, we may have even character deficiencies to address, to change from the normal operative modus into the emerging accident modus. Maybe we have a wrong people in gear, totally. So we have to also look into the character qualities and to empower and renew our organization from that point of view. It's a revolution what we need.
Okay, let's start a revolution.
Okay.
Well, the only thing to this, I can also only say that to be continued. This was the first episode of something that must be perhaps a very more episodes worth series of discussions, I would say. But perhaps I could just ask for two very, very short, 2-3 words of conclusions for all of three of us, and then we can wrap it up and run to the bus or wherever we need to run.
Well, I'll give it a go. I think after the discussion, I think we're all aware of the challenges, but I think as we also discussed, there are big opportunities involved as well, and I think it's really time for everybody to seize those opportunities and try to, as much as they can, work together so that we can actually deliver something of impact. And I think with that very general remark, maybe we just go the same sequence and ask Juha to be more practical and then Tony to be extremely practical.
I just say that the audience we have been talking to, the number of people we have here, we have the right people, and we have the most important people from my point of view here present. But this is something which I sense that we are now developing something, and we are talking about something which is very timely and very important. This is not yet for the wider audiences. We have to keep this a little bit as our issue, our ideas, and then bring it to the right people to bring an effect. This is not for the wider audiences yet, but tomorrow it is.